Welcome to another session of weCONECT, where we explore the ideas, companies, and key players that continue to raise the bar in eDiscovery.
Hello, it's Ian Campbell here from weCONECT, and I am proud to have today someone who's new to the iConnect family, Rob Glasgow, who's joined us as a National Business Development Manager. Rob, welcome aboard.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here. Very glad to be here.
Good stuff. Now, you've been doing the eDiscovery gig for a while now. Tell us about your experience in eDiscovery in general, and then how you sort of landed on using some iConnect technology along the way.
Yeah, for sure. So I've been around for a hot minute, as they would say, since around 2005 or so. So about 15 plus years. Started kind of with the carrying of boxes of paper back and forth around Birmingham, Alabama. And the summer here is quite hot, so that became rather untoward very quickly. And so at that point, things kind of made the transition into the electronic world. And I have been working with applications from summation concordance. And then I finally landed in-house at a firm here that was using iConnect, Xera, and needed an admin. And I was working in a different industry entirely and got dragged back into it. And the rest is kind of, as they say, history. I've been in the space now for, like I said, about 15 years or so, and very impressed with the support system here at iConnect for sure.
Good. And is that one of the things about iConnect as a company that's kind of impressed you all along?
In fact, it's probably the primary thing from the start to finish. You know, when we started talking earlier this year, the support people that I had worked with, Sid and the Matts, I remembered them and this has been several years ago that I had been in-house with this firm, and they had made such an impression on me with their incredible support that I had always been a fan of iConnect. I thought that the platform was great even then, and what I saw, during the interview process and coming on board has even blown me away even more so.
Good. And you've had a chance to look under the hood, shall we say? Now you kind of see where the some of the tech that was foundational to iConnect when we started, some of the tech that has continued to evolve into the current versions that we have. And then even before we got on this call, I showed you some of the tech that's coming over the horizon. What do you think now that you've actually looked under the hood?
Wow. What a difference a few years can make, right? It's a completely different ball game with iConnect these days. I was, I'm someone who appreciates good design. So, things that are appealing to the visual sense. And number one, the interface is slick. It's super, super easy, super intuitive, super humanized, right. Very, very easy to get into and just really get up and running very quickly. And I think that's one of the things that has been, a barrier for a lot of other people, other firms, other companies, other applications out there, is that there is a learning curve barrier that is preventative in a lot of ways. What I've seen, with version 10 has been very, very simple and very easy and very elegant to move back and forth between views and between screens and between workflows.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, we find, like virtually any software platform out there, 80% of the people use 20% of the features. Correct. And so what we've tried to do with the platform is we've tried to take those 20% of the features and sort of percolate them up, and take the 80% and bury them in an advanced button. And that way, for the majority of users, it's a pretty clean, slick interface. And I think one of the challenges is that we all have here is, like, when I grab this off my desk here, is that your smartphone, that people kind of expect that they can just download an app and start working. And I think one of the challenges historically with eDiscovery platforms is it was a week-long training session. And I think what we've really tried to do is create it such that someone can literally log in and in a very intuitive way navigate all the way through to review and kind of know where they are. They're not inundated with pop-ups all the way through. In fact, Mike, who does a lot of our demo work, he talks about the fact that it's literally just 3 screens. I mean, it literally is choose your case, look at either your table view or your thumbnail mode, and then dig into the document. And that's it. And everything else is sort of peripheral to that. And whether it's an AI-based review, using some level of TAR or predictive review, or it's a very much of a linear eyes on all documents review, the goal really has always been to create that very, very smooth interface for people to interact with. What's the favorite feature of things that you've been out there talking to people about?
Well, my background here recently has been more on the business side of litigation. So I've been working, pardon me, on primarily the financial aspect as it relates to cost recovery, return of investment,
Right.
things like that. So I'm partial to reporting. I like the iViews, and I'm very fond of the iLint library. But I think probably the most significant feature that has really wowed me the most is the auto redact and
Right.
the automation around identification of the personal information, be it PII, PHI, PCI, whatever, and
Right.
the auto redaction feature that goes into that is just done
Yeah.
without really any significant input from the user, and it's remarkable how clean and effective that is.
Yeah, that was kind of the goal, is that, the ability, hey, I'm going to take 10,000 PDFs and load them in and go click, click, click. And then the next thing I know, I've got 10,000 redacted PDFs coming out the other end, and again, when we built that, it was important because we wanted to make sure that if you want to go search for PII, you can do that. You can do it from any one of 51 countries. So if you're looking for a Romanian driver's license number, we actually have a way to do that. But if on the flip side you're saying, no, I'm not interested in PII, I'm more interested in whether or not any of these 10 chemical names showed up in any of the data, then you can literally take that text file of 10 chemical names, click the import button, and that's what goes and gets redacted. And then one step further, we found on the breach side, when people are sensitive to what's been shared, one of the things they're interested in some cases is not PII and not a list of keywords, but they want to know, were any of the records that were compromised talking about this subject? And so we have a thing called Exemplar, as you know, and it allows you to go in and create a synthetic document, a fake document, a phony document, a smoking gun document, create it, cut and paste, write it from scratch, whatever you want to do, and then literally send it into the collection and say, anything like this in there at all? And it can be very, very powerful. And I think, as you're well aware, we just acquired a copy of the AFI Inspector code base. And that means that we now have direct access to that source code. It's embedded right inside our source code. And as we continue to look over the horizon with your input based on client feedback and kind of trying to find new and innovative ways to search data, we'll be able to do a lot of interesting things because we've got direct access to that code. And I think you would agree that's going to make a big difference in how we move forward.
100%. There's no question. The world is evolving in that direction, right? I mean, AI exists around us in all capacities, and legal and litigation has been a bit laggard in adopting more advanced technologies in some ways. In some markets and in some companies, of course, things are different. But as a whole, the industry has been somewhat behind the curve in terms of adoption of more advanced technologies. And again, with the humanization kind of aspect of bringing that type of technology straight forward into a very normalized kind of workflow for an average Joe, that's pretty solid stuff to be bringing to market for sure.
And really, from that perspective, just to kind of wrap up, I mean, I think you would agree that gives, versus the landscape that's out there now. I mean, most of the people involved in litigation work are using something now. And I think one of the challenges that we always get when we talk to someone about, hey, you should consider the iConnect platform, is like, yeah, but I'm already using such and such. And I think people dramatically underestimate the talent that they have. For someone like yourself who kind of grew up in that, concordance summation era, if you know how to use concordance or summation, you can figure out iConnect pretty quickly. The concept of printing, security, tagging, redacting, importing, processing, running productions from application to application is kind of the same. And I think when people say, no, I don't want to consider a new platform, that's sort of like saying, well, I know you want to rent me a Lexus, but I only know how to drive a Ford Mustang. but what you don't really think about is the fact that, wait a minute, the windscreen's in the same spot, and the rearview mirrors are in the same spot, and the driver's pedal and the brake are all in the same spot, and the steering wheel works the same way. So yeah, I think eDiscovery tools are kind of like that, that if you've got a base skill set, the transference of that skill set to a more modern platform with better workflows is something that that I think can benefit everybody.
It's funny you should bring that up, actually, because the job that I took that actually introduced me to iConnect, that very point was made to me about summation and concordance. The IT director at the firm said, well, I mean, if you know one of these applications, you can kind of figure them all out, right? And I'm like, yeah, no, I think you're probably right. And sure enough, with a week or so in Xera, I was up and running very easily. That's pretty huge to say, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, really, the platform itself, I think you would agree, it has a lot of problem-solving capability now, even outside of eDiscovery. I mean, some of the redaction, the ability to create a secure document archive really can make a difference in a lot of different workflows.
Absolutely. That's a huge, huge component that I'm so excited about, honestly, because it does broaden, our perspective and our ability to bring something more meaningful to what hasn't traditionally been a target for the eDiscovery industry. And,
that's right.
It bridges a lot of corporate and a lot of legal operations right into one application. And I think that's huge.
Outstanding. Well, thank you, Rob. I appreciate the time on the phone today. Rob Glasgow is the new iConnect National Manager of Business Solutions. We're proud to have him as part of the iConnect team, and look forward to helping clients out there solve their business problems any way we can. Thanks, Rob.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ian.
Okay, take care.
Cheers.
weCONECT, brought to you by iConnect, making information accessible.